Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do this problem, running sum of 1D array. It's quite simple. So the problem says, given an array nums, we define a running sum of an array, and running sum of I is sum of all the numbers from 0 to I. What that means is you get a function which receives input of an array of integers. The output is expected to be an array of the same size, but every single position is populated with the sum of all the past elements. So what that means is like this. So let's take this input, and the expectation is that you have an array. First position is will be 1 because it's the first one, and then the second one will be 1 plus 2, which is 3. Then it will be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, and then 10. So obviously we are going to start with an array with just zeros, but it will have the same length because this is the expectation. It has the same length. And then what we need to do is to iterate each element in the input array and to populate the position in the output array. I'm gonna do a slightly worse version and then a little better one just to prove a point. Okay, so we have, let's say, int result, which has nums.length. So this basically gives us an array called result of integers which has these elements. Then we just iterate the input array for var I is 0, I is less than nums.length. So what did I say? We need to remember when we iterate. Then we end up here, and we know the previous sum, like the last sum of elements was 1, right? So we need to say 1 plus 2. So we can just say something like var last sum is 0. Last sum would be, is it the first element? So is I equal to 0? In that case, it's literally just nums of I, which is the first one. Or it's going to be last sum plus nums of I. And then we just say result of I is last sum. This is where we populate the element at the current position. And then we just say, okay, now that we have finished the iteration, we say, okay, return result. So let's see. Okay, I think there is room for some improvement. And if we look at this code, how could we improve this a little bit? So let's take each line one by one. Do we need this? Obviously, we do, because this is the resulting array. Then, line 5, do we need this? What is this actually? Well, this is the last sum in the iteration. But okay, do we really need this variable actually? What if we just remove this variable and then we just say, you know what, result of I, without adding the overhead of an extra variable that does this calculation, we can just say result of I is the exact same thing. Is I equal to 0, then it's nums of I. And then how do we transform this when we have not remembered the last sum in a variable? Well, it's, in our example, we know that as we iterate, so let's take the input array again. The first one would be nums of I. So we know that the last sum is always current position minus 1. So we already have, we don't need to remember it in a variable because we already have it. Result, right? So the previous position plus nums of I. Let's delete this. So now we don't need this variable at all because this was just an extra overhead for that just occupies memory for nothing. We just say, what do we do here again? We just say for every iteration of nums, if it's the first element, populates the first element. If it's not the first element, take the first element and add it to the previous value in the result array. The point I wanted to make is it's not necessary to create local variables if they are not needed. In our case, it was not necessary to store the last sum in a variable when we already had it in the result array in the previous position. Let's also do the C++ solution and then the Golang one. The first element, if I is 0, or the current element plus the one in the result array at the previous position, I, which is I minus 1. Let's also do the Golang version. We need to initialize a slice, and in Golang we use make for this. In Golang there is no ternary operator, like if condition then else. So we need to just write the if. Minus 1. And of course return result. That's it. Very simple problem. Running sum of 1D array in 3 languages. And again, be careful of not creating unnecessary variables when they are not needed. Thanks. Subscribe and see you in the next LeetCode problem. Bye.